Imitations of Horace, the first epistle of the second book. Alexander Pope, Nebraska Rubim, Pingui Donatus Munir. Horace, Epistles II.267. While you, great patron of mankind, sustain the blanked world, and open all the main, your country, chief, in arms abroad defend, at home, with morals, arts, and laws amend, how shall the muse, from such a monarch steal an hour, and not defraud the public weal? Edward and Henry, now the boast of fame, and virtuous Alfred, a more sacred name, after a life of generous toils endured, the goal subdued, or property secured, ambition humbled, mighty cities stormed, or laws established, and the world reformed, clothe their long glories with a sigh, to find this unwilling gratitude of base mankind. All human virtue, to its latest breath finds envy never conquered, but by death. The great Alcides, every labor past, had still this monster to subdue at last. Sure fate of all, beneath whose rising ray each star of meaner merit fades away. Oppressed we feel the beam directly beat, those sons of glory please not till they set. To thee the world its present homage pays, the harvest early, but mature the praise, great friend of liberty. In kings a name above all Greek, above all Roman fame, whose word is truth, as sacred and revered, as heaven's own oracles from altars heard. Wonder of kings, like whom, to mortal eyes none e'er has risen, and none e'er shall rise. Just in one instance, being yet confessed your people, sir, are partial in the rest, foes to all living worth except your own, and advocates for folly dead and gone. Authors, like coins, grow dear as they grow old. It is the rust we value, not the gold. Chaucer's worst ribaldry is learned by rote, and beastly skeleton heads of houses quote, one likes no language but the furry queen. A Scot will fight for Christ's Kirk o' the Green, and each true Briton is to bend so civil, he swears the muses met him at the devil. Though justly Greece her eldest sons admires, why should not we be wiser than our sires? In every public virtue we excel, we build, we paint, we sing, we dance as well, and learned Athens to our art must stoop, could she behold us tumbling through a hoop. If time improve our wit as well as wine, say at what age a poet grows divine? Shall we, or shall we not, account him so, who died, perhaps, an 100 years ago? End all dispute, and fix the year precise when British bards begin to immortalize? Ampersand quo. Who lasts a century can have no flaw, I hold that wit a classic, good in law. Ampersand quo. Suppose he wants a year, will you compound? And shall we deem him ancient, right and sound, or damned to all eternity at once, at 99, a modern and a dunce? Ampersand quo. We shall not quarrel for a year or two, by courtesy of England, he may do. Ampersand quo. Then by the rule that made a horse tail bear, I pluck out year by year, as hair by hair, and melt down ancients like a heap of snow, while you, to measure merits, look and stow, and estimating authors by the year, bestow a garland only on a bier. Shakespeare, whom you and every playhouse bill style the divine, the matchless, what you will for gain, not glory, winged his roving flight, and grew immortal in his own despite. Ben, old and poor, as little seemed to heed the life to come, in every poet's creed. Who now reads Cowley? If he pleases yet, his moral pleases, not his pointed wit. Forgot his epic, naponderic art, but still I love the language of his heart. Ampersand quo. Yet surely, surely, these were famous men. What boy but hears the sayings of old Ben? In all debates where critics bear a part, not one but nods, and talks of Johnson's art, of Shakespeare's nature, and of Cowley's wit. How Beaumont's judgment checked what Fletcher writ. How Shadwell hasty, why Shirley was slow. But, for the passions, Southern sure and Rowe. These, only these, support the crowded stage, from eldest Heywood down to Cyber's age. Ampersand quo. All this may be. The people's voice is odd, it is, and it is not, the voice of God. To Gamer Girton if it give the bays, and yet deny the careless husband praise, or say our fathers never broke a rule. Why then, I say, the public is a fool. But let them own, that greater faults than we they had, and greater virtues, I'll agree. Spenser himself affects the obsolete, and Sidney's verse halts ill on Roman feet. Milton's strong pinion now not he even can bound, now serpent-like, in prose he sweeps the ground. In quibbles, angel and archangel join, and God the Father turns a school divine. Not that I'd lop the beauties from his book, like slashing Bentley with his desperate hook, or damn all Shakespeare, like this affected fool at court, who hates whate'er he read at school. But for the wits of either Charles's days, the mob of gentlemen who wrote with ease, Spread, Carew, Sedley, and 100 more, like twinkling stars the miscellanies or one simile, that solitary shines in the dry desert of 1,000 lines, or lengthened thought that gleams through many a page, has sanctified whole poems for an age. I lose my patience, and I own it too, when works are censured, not as bad, but new. While if our elders break all reason's laws, these fools demand not pardon, but applause. On Avon's bank, where flow single quote Horace eternal blow, if I but ask if any weed can grow? One tragic sentence if I dare deride, which Betterton's grave action dignified, or well-mouthed Booth with emphasis proclaims, though but, perhaps, a muster roll of names. How will our fathers rise up in a rage, and swear, all shame is lost in George's age? You'd think no fools disgrack the former reign, did not some grave examples yet remain, who scorn a lad should teach his father's skill, and, having once been wrong, will be so still. He, who to seem more deep than you or I, extols old bards, or Merlin's prophecy, mistake him not. He envies, not admires, and to debase the sons, exalts the sires. Had ancient times conspired to dissallow what then was new, what had been ancient now? Or what remained, so worthy to be read by learned critics, of the mighty dead? In days of ease, when now the weary sword was sheathed, and luxury with Charles rested, in every taste of foreign courts improved, ampersand quo. All, by the king's example, lived and loved. Ampersand quo. Then Pierce grew proud in horsemanship TXL, Newmarket's glory rose, as Britons fell. The soldier breathed the gallantries of France, and every flow recorded with romance. Then marble, softened into life, grew warm, and yielding metal flowed to human form. Lee on animated canvas stole the sleepy eye, that spoke the melting soul. No wonder then, when all was love and sport, the willing muses were debauched at court, on each unnerved string they taught a note to pant or tremble through an eunuch's throat. But Britain, changeful as a child at play, now calls in princes, and now turns away, now Whig, now Tory, what we loved we hate. Now all for pleasure, now for church and state. Now for prerogative, and now for laws. Effects unhappy. From a nobile cause. Time was, a sober Englishman would knock his servants up, and rise by 5 o'clock, instruct his family in every rule, and send his wife to church, his son to school. To worship like his fathers was his care. To teach their frugal virtues to his heir. To prove that luxury could never hold, and place, on good security, his gold. Now times are changed, and one poetic itch has seized the court and city. Poor and rich, sons, sires, and grandsires, all will wear the bays. Our wives read Milton, and our daughters plays. To theaters, and to rehearsals throng, and all our grace at table is a song. I, who so oft renounce the muses, lie not. Dash, 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 dash. Self-e'er tells more fibs than I. When sick of muse, our follies we deplore, and promise our best friends to rhyme no more. We wake next morning in a raging fit, and call for pen and ink to show our wit. He served apprenticeship who sets up shop. War tried on puppies and the poor, his drop. Even Radcliffe's doctors travel first to France, nor dare to practice till they've learned to dance. Who builds a bridge that never drove a pile? Should Ripley venture, all the world would smile. But those who cannot write, and those who can, all rhyme, and scrawl, and scribble, to a man. Yet, sir, reflect, the mischief is not great. These madmen never hurt the church or state, sometimes the folly benefits mankind, and rarely Avenue Rice taints the tuneful mind. Allow him but his plaything of a pen, he ne'er rebels, or plots, like other men, flight of cashiers, or mobs, he'll never mind, and knows no losses while the muse is kind. To cheat a friend, or ward, he leaves to Peter. The good man heaps up nothing but mere meter, enjoys his garden and his book in quiet. And then, a perfect hermit in his diet. Of little use the man you may suppose, who says in verse what others say in prose, yet let me show, a poet's of some weight, and, though no soldier, useful to the state. What will a child learn sooner than a song? What better teach a foreigner the tongue? What's long or short, each accent where to place, and speak in public with some sort of grace. I scarce can think him such a worthless thing, unless he praise some monster of a king. Or virtue or religion turn to sport, to please a lewd, or unbelieving court. Unhappy Dryden! In all Charles's days, Roscommon only boasts unspotted bays. And in our own excuse some courtly stains. No wider page than Addison remains. He, from the taste obscene reclaims our youth, and sets the passions on the side of truth, forms the soft bosom with the gentlest art, and pours each human virtue in the heart. Let Ireland tell, how wit upheld her cause, her trade supported, and supplied her laws. And leave on Swift this grateful verse engraved, ampersand quo. The rights a court attacked, a poet saved. Ampersand quo. Behold the hand that wrought a nation's cure, stretched to relieve the idiot and the poor, proud vice to brand, or injured worth adorn, and stretch the ray to ages yet unborn. Not but there are, who merit other palms. Hopkins and Sterne hold glad the heart with psalms. The boys and girls whom charity maintains, implore your help in these pathetic strains. How could devotion touch the country pews, unless the gods bestowed a proper muse? Verse cheers their leisure, verse assists their work, verse prays for peace, or sings down Pope and Turk. The selinged preacher yields the potent strain, and feels that grace's praise single quote are besought in vain. The blessing thrills through all the labyrinth throng, and heaven is won by violence of song. Our rural ancestors, with little blessed, patient of labor when the end was rest, indulged the day that husked their annual grain, with feasts, and offerings, and a thankful strain. The joy the wives, their sons, and servants share, ease of their toil, and partners of their care, the laugh, the jest, attendance on the bowl, smoothed every brow, and opened every soul. With growing years the pleasing license grew, and taunts alternate innocently flew. But times corrupt, and nature, a Linkland, product the point that left a sting behind. Till friend with friend, and families at strife, triumphant malice ragged through private life. Who felt the wrong, or feared it, took this alarm, appealed to law, and justice lent her arm. At length, by wholesome dread of statutes bound, the poets learned to please, and not to wound. Most warped to flattery's side. But some, more nice, preserved the freedom, and forbore the vice. Hence satire rose, that just a medium hit, and heals with morals what it hurts with wit. We conquered France, but felt our captives' charms. Her art's victorious triumphed o'er our arms. Britain to soft refinements less a foe, wit grew polite, and numbers learned to flow. Waller was smooth, but Dryden taught to join the varying verse, the full resounding line, the long majestic march, an energy divine. Though still some traces of our rustic vein and splayfoot verse remained, and will remain. Late, very late, correctness grew our care, when the third nation breathed from civil war. Exact Racine, and Corneille's noble fire showed us that France had something to admire. Not but the tragic spirit was our own, and full on Shakespeare, fair in Otway shone, but Otway failed to polish or refine, and fluent Shakespeare scarce effect a line. Even copious Dryden wanted, or forgot, the last and greatest art, the art to blot. Some doubt, if equal pains, or equal fire the humbler muse of comedy require. But in no images of life, I guess the labor greater, as this indulgence less. Observe how seldom even the best succeed. Tell me if Congreve's fools are fools indeed? What pert, low dialogue has Farquhar writ? How Van wants grace, who never wanted wit. The stage how loosely does Astor it read, who fairly puts all characters to bed. An idle Cibber, how he breaks the laws, to make poor Pinky eat with vast applause. But fill their purse, our poets' work is done, alike to them, by pathos or by pun. O you, whom vanity's light bark conveys on fame's mad voyage by the winds of praise, with what a shifting gale your course you ply, forever sung too low, or borne too high. Who pants for glory finds but short repose, a breath revives him, or a breath o'erth rose. Farewell the stage. If just as thrives the play, the silly bard grows fat, or falls away, there still remains, to mortify a wit, the many-headed monster of the pit, a senseless, worthless, and unhonored crowd, who, to disturb their betters mighty proud, clattering their sticks before 10 lines are spoke, call for the farce, the bear, or the black joke. What dear delight to Britain's farce affords! Farce once the taste of mobs, but now of lords. For taste, eternal wanderer, now flies from heads to ears, and now from ears to eyes. The play stands still. Damn action and discourse, back fly the scenes, and enter foot in Horace. Pageants on pageants, in long order drawn, peers, heralds, bishops, ermine, gold, and lawn. The champion too. And, to complete the jest, old Edward's armor beams on Cyber's breast. With laughter sure Democritus had died, had he beheld an audience gape so wide. Let bear or elephant be e'er so white, the people, sure, the people are the sight. Ah, luckless poet! Stretch thy lungs and roar, that bear or elephant shall heed thee more. While all its throats the gallery extends, and all the thunder of the pit ascends. Loud as the wolves on Orcus' stormy steep, howl to the roarings of the northern deep. Such is the shout, the long applauding note, at Cowen's high plume, or Oldfield's petticoat, or when from court a birthday suit bestowed sinks the lust actor in the tawdry load. Booth enters, hark! The universal peal. Ampersand quo. But has he spoken? Ampersand quo. Not a syllable. Ampersand quo. What shook the stage, and made the people stare? Ampersand quo. Cato's long wig, Flo single quotard gown, and lacquered chair. Yet lest you think I rally more than teach, or praise malignly arts I cannot reach, let me for once presume to instruct the times, to know the poet from the man of rhymes. 'Tis he, who gives my breast 1,000 pains, can make me feel each passion that he feigns. In rage, compose, with more than magic art, with pity and with terror tear my heart, and snatch me o'er the earth or through the air, to Thebes, to Athens, when he will, and where. But not this part of the poetic state alone deserves the favor of the great. Think of those authors, sir, who would rely more on a reader's sense than gazer's eye. Or who shall wander where the muses sing? Who climb their mountain, or who taste their spring? How shall we fill a library with wit, when Merlin's cave is half unfurnished yet? My liege. Why, writers little claim your thought, I guess, and, with their leave, will tell the fault. We poets are, upon a poet's word, of all mankind, the creatures most absurd. The season, when to come, and when to go, to sing, or cease to sing, we'd never know. And if we will recite 9 hours in 10, you lose your patience, just like other men. Then too we hurt ourselves, when to defend a single verse, we quarrel with a friend. Repeat unasked. Lament, the wit's too fine for vulgar eyes, and point out every line. But most, when straining with too weak a wing, we needs will write epistles to the king. And from the moment we oblige the town, expect a place, or pension from the crown. Or dubbed historians by express command, to enroll your triumphs o'er the seas and land, be called to court to plan some work divine, as once for Lewis, Boileau and Racine. Yet think, great sir, so many virtues shown, think, what poet best may make them known? Or choose at least some minister of grace, fit to bestow the laureate's weighty place. Charles, to late times to be transmitted fair, assigned his figure to Bernini's care. And great Nassau to Kneller's hand decreed to fix him graceful on the bounding steed. So well in paint and stone they judged of merit, but kings and wit may want discerning spirit. The hero William, and the martyr Charles, one knighted Blackmore, and one pensioned Quarles, which made old Ben, and surly Dennis swear, Ampersand quo. No lord's anointed, but a Russian bear. Ampersand quo. Not with such majesty, such bold relief, the forms august, of king, or conquering chief, ere swelled on marble, as in verse have shinked ink polished verse, the manners and the mind. Oh, could I mount on the onion wing, your arms, your actions, your repose to sing? What seas ye traversed, and what fields you fought? Your country's peace, how oft, how dearly bought! How barbarous rage subsided at your word, and nations wondered while they dropped the sword. How, when you nodded, o'er the land and deep, peace stole her wing, and wrapped the world in sleep. Till earth's extremes your mediation own, and Asia's tyrants tremble at your throne. But verse, alas, your majesty disdains, and I'm not used to panegyric strains. The zeal of fools offends at any time, but most of all, the zeal of fools in rhyme. Besides, a fate attends on all I write, that when I aim at praise, they say I bite. A vile encomium doubly ridicules, there's nothing blackens like the ink of fools. If true, a woeful likeness, and if lies, ampersand quo. Praise undeserved is scandal in disguise? Ampersand quo. Well may he blush, who gives it, or receives. And when I flatter, let my dirty leaves, like journals, odes, and such forgotten things as use them, Phillips, settle, writ of kings, clothes spice, line trunks, or fluttering in a row, befringe the rails of Bedlam and Soho.